And that's a reaction coming in from Arun Jaitley, saying that as far as the government is concerned, it must explain the revelation by the United Kingdom MP. In the meantime, Sikh groups in Britain have called for an inquiry into alleged British cooperation in the Indian Army's assault on the Golden Temple in 1984. Claims follow comments by Tom Watson, a British MP, and Lord Indrajit Singh, a Sikh member of the House of Lords. They say new evidence shows how Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher had helped Indira Gandhi plan the storming of the Golden Temple to dislodge Khalistani terrorists who were using it as a hideout. We have Lieutenant General Kadyan, who's passed. General Kadyan, now you have the BJP demanding an explanation. Clearly, these revelations come as a huge embarrassment, not just to the Congress party, but also those who were handling the operation at that point.
The Blue Star was a very sad episode in our history, both politically and militarily. Now, these revelations coming out after so many years of the unfortunate incident that took place, it is difficult to understand either at the political level or at the military level why we had to seek help from a foreign country, a British government, on an issue like this. Politically, we didn't need them to tell us that it will have repercussions. Militarily, the army was 37 years old. We had fought a number of wars, 4 wars actually, and we had enough expertise, so it's difficult to understand. One cannot also doubt the report. It has come in the British media, come from the documents, from the scrutiny of documents. But one fails to understand the inquiry needs to be ordered. Why? Whose advice was it that the Indian government should seek help and assistance on the expertise and the know-how of the British Army? I don't understand.
What kind of inquiry are you suggesting, General Kadyan?
No, I mean, the then Prime Minister must have been advised by somebody. Who were those advisors who advised her to seek advice from the former colonial masters on an issue which was totally internal? I mean, we should have advised her what repercussions it would have. I read the report about it in the paper that the British government, the advisor who came, he did say that this is going to alienate the Sikh community. We didn't need anybody else to tell us.
You were also associated with Operation Blue Star. Did you hear of any such thing at that point? Were you aware of any such incident?
I was not part of Operation Blue Star. I was at that time serving somewhere else. But I was a part of the army. So
yes, that's what I meant. You were in service at that point. Did you happen to hear something which would perhaps relate to what has now come out?
No, I was that time posted in the College of Combat, which is now the War College. I was not associated with it, except that we were involved. The after effect that took place in the army, naturally everybody was involved in trying to control the situation, to pacify the anger that had occurred within the army. But I wasn't part of the Operation Blue Star either in the planning or the execution. But that part, as an army man, I feel sad that we had to seek advice from a foreigner on how to go about doing an operation, which was unfortunate. If it had to be done, it was a political decision. Army had very little say in this. Army was a professional army. It had to carry out the government orders. We are a democracy. Army is under the political system. But why an expertise? Was it the army that advised the Prime Minister? Or was it the civilian bureaucracy that advised the Prime Minister? That needs to be investigated. It's a matter of shame. As an Indian army man, I feel ashamed that we had to seek advice from somebody else on how to go about it.
General Kadyan, thank you so much for joining us. The British government had sent an officer, as per the letter, from the Elite Special Forces Unit, which is called the Special Air Service, to advise Indian military planners. The decision is highlighted in a letter dated the 23rd of February 1984 from Brian Fall, Margaret Thatcher's private secretary, to the then Foreign Secretary. Mr. Fall mentions that Indian authorities had requested British assistance in the plan to remove Sikh extremists from the Golden Temple. The Foreign Secretary responded favorably to the Indian request. However, the letter also warned of possible repercussions from the Sikh community in the United Kingdom. General G.D. Bakshi is also joining us on the phone line. General Bakshi, these revelations coming out now, clearly this seems to have been a political decision that was taken then. As an army man, how do you react to these revelations?
Look, we are a little surprised because actually very few people really knew that there was any SAS, British SAS involvement in that planning. As far as I am aware, you know, it was entirely an indigenous plan which had to be done in the Military Operations Directorate and in Western Command headquarters. It was a very painful decision. It was a Hobson's choice. You were damned if you went in and you were damned if you did not. It was one of the most painful decisions, and as you very rightly said, the repercussions were very severe. And the only point is there seemed to have been no option. We had been pushed against the wall. And, you know, it was a very rare case where the insurgents had entered a sanctuary right in the middle of a town, but a very, very fragile sanctuary that was protected by the emotion of a very martial community. India's most martial community, which is very largely represented in the armed forces. And it was therefore a Hobson's choice. It was a very painful decision. We would not like to sort of ever have to do it again because it had consequences. It has consequences, no doubt. And possibly, if we had more time to plan, we could have done it better. The problem was our backs were up against the wall. Indrawale was supported by the ISI. Huge amounts of weapons had been pumped in. Major General Abhishek Singh from the Indian Army, Court Martial General from the Indian Army was inside. So what choice did we have really? We had very little choice, and
Major General Bakshi,
we could have varied our methods, but it was a very painful experience.
Major General Bakshi, for joining us here on Headlines today and sharing your perspective on what happened back then. Clearly a tragic incident, but now an embarrassment coming forth as many within the army and those who were part of Operation Blue Star then saying that such a thing was not revealed and perhaps was a political reaction. And now Arun Jaitley of the BJP demanding an inquiry into these revelations.